Welcome back, y'all, to Management Made Easy. Today, we are getting all the way real. Well, first of all, we are always real. Just to be very clear about this, the
The realist.
realist. But today, we're getting all the way real. We are talking about managing while grieving. Now, let's be honest, Maria, okay? Grief doesn't care about your title, your deadlines, or your deliverables because when it hits, it hits.
Ooh, that is true. Hey, y'all. I'm Maria Doutruche, and I'm here with my work wife and favorite grief companion in these trenches. And listen, we are holding all the space today for the complicated, unspoken, and often invisible experience of leading a team while your whole world is falling apart.
Oh, Maria, say that. Say that. Because listen, the truth is, leadership doesn't pause just because grief walks in the room. Okay. And let me tell you from experience, Maria, you know this like acutely. I lost my stepdad in that first round of COVID. I was in the COVID 1.0, and he and I got COVID on the same day, March 16th, 2020. It's crazy. And even
Mm.
though my homie lived a full life, okay, 3 weeks out, he ain't make it. I made it. And I had serious survivor's guilt. I didn't even know that that was a thing, Maria. Like, why am I still here when he's not? And I had just gotten an interim role as a chief external affairs officer at a national nonprofit. I had just scored some really big training gigs, so my team was about to start revving up. I had just launched the Rooted Collaborative, and before we knew we were going to be inside, we really thought we were about to be outside. Okay, we had a space book member in Pennsylvania, like we was going to do the thing. Okay,
Yes.
oh, and having that survivor's guilt, it just made showing up to work and really showing up to the 2020 me feel impossible. Impossible.
Take a breath, my love.
Woo!
Wow.
I would try not to go there, girl, but here you go.
Yes, I mean, I knew, and I remember because I knew. However, that detail, both got COVID on the same day,
One day.
and you're here to tell the story, and your
Mhm.
stepdad is not.
No,
That's so much.
it is.
Wow. And you know what? We're just expected to hold everybody else up when something like that happens. The team, the vision, the deadlines. It's like you're asked to host the party and your house is on fire.
Hello? I mean, and what was wild, I remember this time was that people kept asking me how my mom is doing, which they should. That was her like they had 90s R&B love, okay? And also my stepdad had been my stepdad since I was like 5, right? And I'm a 40-year-old woman at that point. Is that about right? Yeah, about to be 40. And so I'm thinking about it. And so I've known this man a ridiculous number of times longer than I hadn't. I mean, he's the one who sat outside my elementary school and on our half days took me and my brother back to the hospital where he and my mother worked and gave us sandwiches while we sat in the cut. You know what I mean? He sat outside my piano lessons. I mean, I feel like he was always sitting outside somewhere.
I was about to say there's a theme. There's a theme.
Sitting outside choir rehearsal. He was always sitting outside. Pathfinders. Every time there was a place to be sitting.
Pathfinders,
Come on,
Kashana, the people don't
Pathfinders.
know what you're
Listen.
talking about. Tell them,
Listen.
quick aside.
Quick aside, quick aside. Pathfinders, as I like to describe it, is like the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts of the Seventh day Adventist church. So,
Yeah.
Seventh day Adventist, Christian denomination, Sabbath keepers. We go to church on Saturday. No, it is not a cult. I just want to be
Be clear.
it's an international Christian denomination. But we observe the Sabbath, so sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. And so Pathfinders, I used to crack up as a kid. I really felt like it was like end of days training because the level of you had to learn how to tie knots, make fires in the woods, go sleep in the woods, all of your
Look,
basic wilderness skills. And I just want you to know, Maria, I hate outside, okay?
well, there might be a connection here, but
There might
nevertheless.
be. There might be a connection to the fact that I hate outside. I just want you to know. But he was always like there, right? Quiet, tall, steady presence. And then there were moments, I don't want to make revisionist history that there was some friction and some wildness as there in many households, including my very West Indian one. But overall, like he had never not been there. And so people treated my brother and I like it was happening to somebody else. So I had to plan the memorial, do all the scheduling, I had to go find the man's body because the hospital misplaced it. I mean, that first couple of months of COVID was wild. And it was so wild that I don't even think people could wrap their head around what it was like to grieve because every minute somebody else was transitioning to their ancestors.
Look, that early COVID grieving was I'd be surprised if there is not a specific terminology that emerges
Yes.
from the academics who really go deep into grief study and research to kind of pull together what was happening then. I've been using the language that already exists. It was
Mm-hmm.
complicated, it was complex, and it was often compounded. There were many types of grief compounding on one another.
Yep.
And then a lot of the coping and healing modalities that were previously available to people, like gathering, for instance, wasn't possible. The opportunity to say that last goodbye. And for many people also, because we didn't know what was going on, but we knew something was going on. And as you just said, so many people were dying during that time. There was also this element for a number of people of anticipatory grief. The minute you heard
Mm-hmm.
somebody had COVID and was in the hospital, it was just you're waiting to hear what next, what next. Um, and it didn't have anywhere to go. It led to a lot of anxiety. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you went through that. A number of people went through some story in which pieces of your story feel relatable. And to leaders and managers, to anyone listening who's like, oh, ouch, yeah, me too. Also, reach out for help, first of all.
That's right.
We like to have an honest, useful, good time here on this podcast. So let this not be lost in all of that. If you need help, get help. And help doesn't have to be you're going to go speak to a therapist, though if you need that, you should. Um, Take some time and just bullet journal. What was I feeling on that day? How am I
That's
feeling
right.
now? Can I name the feeling? Is it close to this other feeling? Who can I lean on for support? Should I phone a friend, take a walk, do something that helps me positively remember this person or this thing I have lost? Even if
Ooh,
it's not the person, the idea I had that me and this person would be here today together to experience X that we didn't get to do. Just acknowledging that can be helpful. So, there are resources out there. This is not necessarily an episode about the resources for it, but since Kashana has shared so bravely and so honestly
oh,
about
thanks,
her
man.
very layered and real experience, I don't want to not tend to that in a serious way, also. So, thanks for opening us up with that, Kashana. And also, we've opened something up, and I
Yeah,
just want to tend to it because what we're saying is the truth, that like there is, even now in this moment, right, this expectation that we're going to tell a story and then just keep going on with the
right. And
episode
like,
about
and
life. And
then, and you're like, mm,
it's like that hurt.
very much so.
It
Very much
hurt
so.
in many
Very much
ways. It
so.
was heartbreaking in many ways. And the way in which you were immediately treated, um, and the treatment maybe that was probably that you deserved, that you maybe didn't get to access, like those things are lingering.
They are, and they're lingering. So now my cousins, my aunt, one of my favorite aunts, passed away suddenly, not long ago, right? And when my stepfather passed, the first thing I could think to do was to make a list of how people could help. Because
You are
what
so
do you
smart.
need was so overwhelming. You would think I was smart. Let me tell you what the people them said in the chat, in the WhatsApp, okay? I made a list, everything from remember, this is a time when people were not coming to people's doors, right? Where people were washing off boxes, okay? Here the DoorDash, here's the links to this. Here, like I made links to everything from food to we don't want flowers, here's a nonprofit, to if you're gonna pray, here's who is the person to call, to if you want to help. I mean, like I went down the list from free to you might have to go cash a bond. Okay.
Right.
My auntie costs me so bad. Why you make it seem like we need help? Why you beg for help? Excuse me?
What?
My mom can't even form sentences. And her friends are like, it was like a barrage of questions, of prayers, of, oh my goodness, how the man did die? Oh my God, brother Barrett, oh my God. And I just wanted it to stop. And so I said, cut paste, cut paste, cut paste, cut paste. Because I figured people don't actually know when you're drowning, that's not the time to go, what you need to get out the water. No,
Right.
throw me an MF in life raft. Or can you swim? Like, call the Coast
Come get
Guard.
me.
Come get me. So I said, well, what are the come get me's, right? That we need right now. Nobody eating, people barely bathing. We need supplies for this, for that. Da, da, da.
People are grieving.
So fast forward now. So I'm telling you, so my auntie did cost me body here. So when we fast forward now to a different side of the family, to my cousin's mom transitioning, to my aunt transitioning, I said to her, I didn't say, what do you need me to do? I said, here's what I can do.
Hmm.
Because I know what my capacity is emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, right? And so let me put forth what I can offer. I can write the announcement so you don't have to
Hmm.
cut and paste it. I can make a list of the things people can do so that you don't have to respond, cut, paste. I can take on, like I gave her like 3 or 4 things that I can do. She said, choice E, all of them.
Right.
I don't know if she
Right.
ever used that list because I ain't see it in our family chat. Back to the when I ask people for help us. You need people to help you. Okay. And sometimes a GoFundMe ain't the way to do it.
Right. That's not
Um,
everybody's jam.
wrote the announcement. They used pieces of it. Didn't matter to me. Okay. But I did powerfully what I knew how to do because I was so reminded of how alone I felt in the doing. And I can imagine as we get into it that the pressure to perform, to be strong, to not burden people with your grief, we've seen it, we've lived it. And so we're going to dig into it because let me tell you something, you can't leave that grief behind and go back to your job. That thing
Right.
is following you like a wet blankie. You hear me? With their finger, the little baby with the finger in their mouth, following you.
And even if people are not talking about it that way, basics.
Yeah.
Grief is universal. It
Yeah.
is a universal experience. Everyone experiences it at some level, in some way. It is part of our human life.
That's it.
But somehow, in most workplaces, it's treated like this very private
Mm-hmm.
matter. And yes, it is in some degree private, and you give people, please respect the family's privacy at this time. However, it doesn't stay outside the office when you walk in.
Right.
It's not like, a muddy boot where you're like, oh, let me just leave this out here in the front hall and then put on
Yeah.
my work shoes and walk around the office. It doesn't work that way at all. So it's private, but it's also present.
Yeah. Like we're seeing, and people are like tiptoeing. It shows up in your body, in your brain, in your behavior. Don't think that your team members, your contemporaries, your managers can't see that you are one whisper away from literally Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. Okay. It affects your focus, your memory, your energy. My focus was off. Hell, I had a breakup, and that in of itself felt like a death.
That points to how many different ways we can grieve and how universal grieving is, right?
Yes.
So I remember not even a direct colleague. We had a very, very engaged board member, and we
Mm-hmm.
were coming up on the big annual gala.
Yeah.
And my ED came to me. I was the development officer at the time, and she was like, "Look, she's gonna say the speaking about the board chair. She's gonna say a lot of things because working on this is keeping her distracted.
Yeah.
She's excited. She loves us. Like in the past, she has done the things, exceeded expectations. I just want you to know that this year is a little different. She's going through a divorce, and
Yep.
so we don't know." Right? We don't know. And I was super young. I was like, divorce, girl, whatever. Like, she probably about to get out. I know her husband. She probably about to win. But how insensitive and uninformed of me, because that is also a small death to that relationship,
Yes. Which you have
death to
hung
that,
your hat on, right?
to those expectations you had that we would be raising these kids together and have these grandchildren together and
Yeah.
be at this gala together the way we were
Yes.
just last year, right? And that I could make these commitments based on the experiences, not only the expectations, but the experiences I've had with you up
That's it.
until this point. We're talking loss of job, we're talking loss of position. You ever be the two of y'all in a job and there's a promotion available and one of y'all get it and one of y'all don't? Someone is grieving.
Somebody's grieving.
Someone on the team is grieving, right?
Somebody is
Um,
grieving.
And then there's associative grief. In that same simple example,
Yeah.
someone on the team who'd been cool with the person who didn't get the job was also thinking, oh, it's about to be us up in here. You
Right.
about to get this promotion. We about to run this team the way we've been talking about for
Then
the
it's
past
like
five
skirt.
years. And then it doesn't happen, So
No.
yes, there's always, when we talk to grief, I think we immediately go
To
to
death.
the actual death of the physical death of a loved one. And even that loved one, like, I remember getting to
Mm,
an argument with someone years ago. Their dog had died and they were tore up.
tore
And I am
up.
not a big dog lover personally. And I also don't have a pet. I haven't had a pet as an adult. And I didn't understand. I could not find it within myself to empathize for the
Yeah.
gravity of the loss for that person.
Yeah.
And I remember it now, like how flippant I had been when I really had the capacity to be like, yo, you're really hurting, man. This dog meant a lot to you. I didn't have to say I cared about dogs. All I had to do was acknowledge something has
Acknowledge
happened
that.
to you.
Because let me tell you something. If something did happen to Chanel, Lord
I
Jesus, what's
know.
the people? It would be you too. All the people
Even
that
though
would.
you're quick to say, oh, this is not my dog, I know if something happens to Chanel, you are in a shambles.
First of all, Mama Dawn is going to just lay prostrate on the ground. You hear me? Behind that dog. Oh my gosh. And Gucci and Louie, Jesus. And I did
Okay.
not grow up with dogs. We weren't
Right.
allowed to have dogs in our apartment growing up. So I didn't get a dog until my stepfather passed. He's our grief dog. So can you imagine the grief dog goes on to
Oh,
glory?
boy.
Jesus.
Oh, no. And
Father.
I think that just speaks to, I hope people are getting it, right? That there's this expectation because we make it this outside, this inconvenient thing that affects our focus, our patience, etc. But let me just give y'all some quick stats, real quick, because this will bring it home, and then I will stop harping on it this way.
Yes,
So, according to the Grief Recovery Institute, which y'all need to know exists,
you do.
U.S. companies alone, so just us in the U.S., right? They lose over $75 billion a year in productivity due to grief related issues. 75 billion with a B for boohoo, Bobby Gone.
Billion.
$75 billion a year. That's in absenteeism, something called presenteeism, which obviously sounds like the opposite of absenteeism, but
We
folks
here so we don't
functioning
get fined. That's what that
right.
means. Okay.
Errors. I mean, think how many errors you make when you're not focused, when you're irritable, when you're not able to communicate well, to
Yep.
understand well.
Yep.
Burnout, you name it. These things can be traced back to grief. And so the grief related costs just in the US, again, I'm gonna say it for the people who just perked up. 75 billion
Yep.
dollars a year. Might as well I need to check what year this was done. Might as well round that up to
Shout
100
out to our
billion.
producers for giving us this information, okay? Because we like the
100
risk.
billion, round it
We
up.
wanted to come with the stats. But listen, Maria. But then we know all this, and leaders are expected to keep everything tight. Okay.
Yep.
And so few companies and organizations have policies or even real language, not just foo language, real language to support. Do you notice that the more we do this podcast, the more auntie we become? That's hilarious.
Nope. Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. There's no language to support grieving employees, let alone grieving leaders, right? And so we don't even name the grief. We just say, oh, she's off her game, or he's not a team player lately. Meanwhile, the person might be hanging on to keeping it together by the hair of their chin. And if that person is leading a team, multiply that stress tenfold.
Right. And then let's even talk about a double standard here. Leaders are expected to be these unshakable pillars of strength. But the
On
truth is, every single leader is a human first.
That's right.
We are all human first. And when we pretend otherwise, we model a culture where emotions and weakness and grief become liabilities. Anytime you remove the humanity from a human,
That's
you
right.
are dehumanizing that person and supporting a culture of dehumanization.
I bet you can't say that 3 times fast. But no, but like seriously, y'all know we're not here for that. Okay. We are not here for that. Maria and I do not play those games. Why? Because we have the battle wounds, the internal. We're not even talking about the exterior stuff, like the time I fell down the steps, okay, trying to run to go
Good
catch a
night.
vendor and they box truck before they left
No.
because they had left something for an event. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the internal. This is the real Maria, okay? I did see my light flashing before me. I want you to know. Okay. So I'm talking about the internal dis-ease, right? I'm talking about high blood pressure.
Mm,
I'm talking about your blood pressure spiking, your blood sugar spiking. I'm talking
mm,
about not drinking water. I'm talking about your iron being low. I'm talking about not having magnesium, waking up in the middle of the night with your leg cramps. I'm talking about the headaches you think is from stress. Hello, is giving you signs that the blood is going to your brain a little too fast. I'm talking about the frown lines that on the inside indicate that there's some dis-ease showing up on the outside. I'm talking about hormonal acne, and you should be well past the years, and you're not perimenopausal yet. I'm talking about perimenopause coming too fast.
I was just about to say, it sounds like we need to get the grief influencers and the perimenopause influencers
Together.
together with some actual intellectuals. Because I'm not saying
Oh Lord.
influencers are not intellectual. I'm just saying I
No,
like
no,
to.
no. We need to have some balance. We have to have some balance. So we got to normalize humanity at work, right? And if I can just continue to tell on myself,
Please.
every episode we tell on ourselves. Becoming an empty nester was another form of grief for me. The queenager went off to college. Y'all, I thought I was gonna, people were like, you gonna cry. It's gonna be a whole mess. The people, I was crying in her room. I ain't going in that room. First of all, we moved to a different city. So that just totally took apart that. Maybe if I had come back home to my place in New York and I was gonna stay, I might have had that. But I was out of there. Okay. And so this kid I raised solo since she was 4. And I was proud of her, right? I was proud of myself. And yet I was gutted. And it wasn't her first semester where I cried. Let me tell you, I was like, peace, homie, see you later. It was when she came home for Christmas break and then went back to school that I was crying in my car like somebody took my heart out and mailed it to another state.
Come on, delayed grief. We could talk about that later too. Delayed
Yes,
grief. It's
delayed
real.
grief. And guess what, y'all? I still had meetings. My business had been falling apart. So my child goes to college. My business that was doing the bomb.com north of 1.5 million in sales every year for the past couple years, that me one alone did bring in the money. You hear? More money, more problems, right? To to having a big client be out of integrity and not being big enough as a company to know how to fight that, right? Get your legal house in order, friends. So I'm hustling trying to get business. So I still have business development, clients, still have meetings. I still have to lead. I have a staff. I'm using my credit cards and our line of credit and our business savings to keep us afloat. And my kid got tuition to pay and she went to the school and she ain't getting no scholarship. Okay. Turn down the scholarship because I told her when she was 10 that her budget was how much it was going to cost to go to school in state if she ain't getting no money. You know, she held on to that, Maria. She was like, Mommy, you said that your
Why are
budget
kids like that? That's a separate
was the
conversation.
amount of money that if I didn't get any money to stay in state, that you'd be willing to pay. And that's how much her tuition was. And I was like,
That's not a binding contract.
listen, I pinky swore it was binding. So I still have to lead, right? I'm grieving all of this stuff. I am in a full on, I'm a full on whirling dervish of grief. And I still got the lead.
Because that's the thing, grief isn't just about the death of the thing. It's about
Yeah.
loss, not only of the people or the roles or identity. I am a grief coach, and oftentimes when someone has lost a person, someone I know who knows I'm a grief coach will be like, "Oh my goodness, can you please talk to them? Or do you mind if I give them your number?" And I'm kind of like, "Hey, I don't think I'm the first round of person they should talk to, um, because I can't help myself. I'm radical in that I'm trying to get at the root, and people need to go through their process. And
Yeah.
if you are grieving the thing, like you're in your house and it is empty, that's a real thing. Your daughter is at school, you miss hearing her and laughing with her and being able to touch and hug her when she's around. That's a real thing. I'm not trying to devalue that, and you need to go through that process. There's also a part of you, maybe, and this is where I get interested as a coach, in identifying the pieces of your own identity that you are in love with that are now gone because that person is not there to make that possible for you, right?
Ooh.
That's where I love to dig. And if you're ready to go there, then we shouldn't be working together, right? But if you think, you're like, yeah, because not only is that person gone, and so that piece of your identity is wrapped up in what was alive when they were, but if you hold on to it, it now becomes less vibrant itself. How much of that can you
Yeah.
hold by yourself? It required activation of the two. So
Yeah.
And this is why, friend breakups, we don't talk enough about that as a big loss. There's a way I was with you as a friend. We held up a mirror to one another. I could see
Yes.
myself a certain way because of how you showed me to me. And now you're gone, but I still see you in the coffee shop with Brenda and them. What the hell? What the hellion? What the helliante, right? So, when it's about that identity, the way that it's the end of what was and the uncertainty of what's next. So now, who am I now?
Yeah.
Who am I now?
Who am I?
And our workplaces are not set up to acknowledge that full spectrum. One of the things I love to talk about people within the workplace is like, hey, you know how you really wanted that promotion and you got it and you've never been a manager before? So how are you feeling? And it takes people
Yes.
forever, if they even do it on their own, to be like, you know what? I'm grieving something, right? And I'm like, so what do you think
Hmm.
that could be? Because that's completely possible. Yeah, for sure. And it's the not only the loss of identity with not having been the manager, with having been the best on the team before, having been the
Yes.
expert that everybody could go to
Can
before.
come to.
Now you're in this
Hmm.
whole new unfamiliar space for yourself. And you're not really sure how that person becomes the manager of the team. So much of the team loving you was that you weren't the manager.
Correct. You were their contemporary, right?
Who wasn't You were their
Yes.
contemporary.
The
Now you
leadership.
all the little tricks you was using to switch off your schedule with Brenda and them. Now that you in charge of the schedule, you know about it and you got to enforce the rule,
Correct.
right? So it's like, well, how do I don't know what's next. And so your loss of what was familiar just for what is unfamiliar can be very jarring. And we
Yes.
don't make enough spaces for that. And we definitely don't acknowledge the full spectrum of what grieving is,
Oh, that's so good.
particularly in the workplace.
I need folks to roll that back, okay? Because what ends up happening is that we white knuckle it, right? We show up. We have these fake smiles that we cry in the bathroom between Zoom calls.
Whew.
Or listen, or for those of us who work remotely, let's talk about it. If we don't have calls and we are just doing work, we might not be doing, we might be laying down, but you just keep tapping on the icon to make sure that the teams look green, okay? The chat stays green. We are what? Asleep. Because the culture doesn't know how to hold us. And I would go further to say, and we saw this like 100-fold during the pandemic. We're seeing it now. Black women in leadership, folks do not know how to hold us,
Please repeat.
especially Black women in leadership. We are expected to be strong, composed. Let me go into it. Inspirational. Ooh, so good. A delight. But where do we go when our cup is empty?
Okay, okay. So then let's talk about how we lead while grieving, and not from theory, from our own experience. Kashana, what did it look like for you?
Don't ask me no questions, Maria, okay? It was messy. There were days where I could barely string together an email. And here I was running a company. There are still days like that. There are
Mm.
days when my Slack message goes off and I'm like, because I know I didn't do something that I said I was going to do. So I had to make a decision, either fake it until I break or tell the truth. And so I remember this team meeting a couple years ago where I got real with them and I was like, look, I'm grieving. My brain is not braining at full speed right now. I feel like I'm letting y'all down. I'm the one who was carrying the water to make sure that we had money to feed our families. That ain't happening right now. I'm behind. I can't pay y'all. I'm not paying myself. Everybody bills is late and nobody's quitting, right? They're like, we just gonna thug it out. So now I feel guilty because we thugging it out together and we keep being in this place and I haven't been in that place before. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I had to ask for patience and grace. But how do you do that when your mortgage company is like, and by patience and grace, do you mean that you're going to pay your mortgage? Now they gave it to me, and eventually I had to let some folks go, and some folks left on their own. And I am prayerfully happy for them that they are in their next phase, and that was not that they were able to grieve the fact that we weren't able to continue. But it wasn't because they weren't excellent; it was because, and not even just that I couldn't keep that environment held. I had to go back and rebuild a business model that I wasn't the only one holding the bag, right? But that means I had to start leading with vulnerability, and I had to like speak truth to power, and I had to ask for the help I needed. And guess what? They gave it to me.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's really powerful. And I personally believe that vulnerability invites empathy. And so when you lead with transparency and not trauma dumping, but when you just come and tell the truth, you give people permission to see you as a human and then show up with their whole humanity too, which includes their empathy.
Yeah. And I wasn't really good at setting boundaries, Maria. I'm getting better now.
What?
So,
You?
no. Now, if you on the outside of my circle of trust, you have experienced hella boundaries from me. Okay. Warmth, delight, stay over there from me, right? Gates more than boundaries. But if
Mm,
you're on the
mm.
inside of the circle of trust, my boundaries are a little loose. And by loose, I mean filled in pencil and often slightly erased, smudged, if you will.
Less boundaries, more suggestions.
Correct. And so I had to start doing simple things like not answering my emails after a certain time. I tried 6 p.m. One time I took email off my phone for a year. Like that
Yeah,
was 2 years. It was 2 years. But that drove everybody crazy.
it was
Um,
the Wild Wild West.
listen, it was Wild West. I remember that time. I asked my team to hold certain decisions while I got back to center. I started to learn to take breaks, real ones, and not scroll through Slack on my phone while I was crying in bed and eating ice cream, which all those things occurred. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a
Yeah.
slow process.
And the boundaries are so key because I think most US companies do what? They give you like 4 days to grieve
Yeah.
and then invite you back to the office as if nothing happened and none of your
Correct.
colleagues really know what to say. So we all act like you were just on vacation.
Yep.
Um, so, but your energy when you're grieving is super unpredictable.
It is.
And some days you really are okay. And you should take advantage of those days and kind of bang it out, right? Um, I have this really bad habit of like energy saving. So when I know that I'm like in the thick of it with grief, I don't take advantage of those days when I'm like, oh, I'm actually okay. I start bracing and I'm like, I should save my energy because
Yeah.
I never know when I'm going to need it. But that's not how our actual energy works. And I
No,
know
energy
that,
doesn't
but
work your way.
it's a bad habit I need to break. But some days you really are okay. And other days, I mean, it could just be the sound of a song or the smell of coffee that just sends you spiraling.
Oh my gosh. Like one of the songs that I know, it doesn't affect me as much anymore because I've like kind of turned it on its head. But She's Royal, the ones like She's Royal.
Yes,
Hey,
Taurus,
so royal.
Mr.
Listen,
Riley.
okay, Mr. Riley. Look, she's a natural beauty. Oh, listen. If we could just play that right now, that'd be so jamming. Okay. My mama cannot hear that song at all
Oh,
because when she retired, that was the song that she and my stepfather danced to. They danced to the anniversary thing. Once that song came out, that was like their song. He would like sing it to her. I have pictures and video of him doing his little one dance with his leg up, and he's just
mm,
dancing and he holds her. And she can't listen to that song. So because she can't listen to it, I can't listen to it. Okay, because she start crying, I start crying. So
right.
there's always going to be a thing, right, that literally like lays you flat. So, especially music for me.
Yeah, I mean, music is like a time machine for a lot of people,
Yeah.
um, for any reason. And I think we're talking about now how it can show up specifically when
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
grieving. And we are expected to compartmentalize and, be professional,
Ugh.
which I am now using as code for be more of a machine, manage your humanity in ways that are kind of explicitly dehumanizing. And, I think there is a place and space for everything. What I'm really advocating for is like an awareness and an
Yeah.
acknowledgement
Yeah.
that we haven't had in the workplace. An awareness and an acknowledgement can go a long way. And I know there are some people, let me just jump off script real quick for this one, Kish,
Of course.
because
Always. Always.
um, when I hear myself speak in this way, I can almost always already hear the opposition of, well, people will
Hmm.
take advantage. Now, everybody grieving and ain't nobody doing no work. And everybody's going through something. And you can't, just let everybody come in here and be working at whatever level they want and not meeting the expectations and you know what? They're not doing it anyway. So
Hello. It didn't
I
start
don't,
with grief. Just want to be
yeah,
clear.
they're not doing it anyway. And there's no hill that I really feel like I would die on, but I would I would fiercely advocate that there is a specific level of grief literacy that all people who are managing and leading teams need to have.
Yes.
It needs to be in the toolbox, it needs to be in the toy box, play with it, use it, do it for yourself first, and then learn how to do it for your team. which
Yeah.
means getting to know your team, which, can also be sometimes considered unprofessional.
You know how I feel about that. I don't feel that way. I feel like the most professional thing you can do is have relationships with your teams. Because listen, friends, I don't care if you sell a widget or what's it. You are in the business of relationships. Okay.
Hmm.
So look, I want to be clear, Maria, because listen, if your heart is in pieces, I know somebody's like, man, this spreadsheet can wait. But I want to be clear that grief does not mean that you're incapable of leading. Okay. But it does mean that you get to lead differently. And in fact, whether you like it or not, you will lead differently. You got to make room. You got to trust the
Mm.
team more. You got to focus on essentials. You got to give yourself permission. And I'm going to take a deep breath when I say this. You got to give yourself permission to do B plus work instead of always going for A plus while your soul is healing.
I'm glad you took that breath, because that's leadership maturity.
Whew.
And modeling that helps your team know it's okay to not be okay and still do meaningful work. Grief can be a teacher if you let it teach you. So let me give you the real deal example from my main man. I know y'all know about him. Some of y'all know that I'm in this deep relationship. Woo! Shout out to my main man, Jesus.
Jesus
Ah,
in the
my Lord and
house.
Savior.
Yes, your
My
Lord and
Lord and my Savior.
Savior.
Woo! I love him. How excellent.
I didn't know you were going to go
Yes. Yes. For those of you unfamiliar, Son of God and Son of Man uh came on.
there.
There's an account recorded in a book. If you take a look, it's in there, and it's Reading Rainbow. Recorded in this book, recorded in the scriptures, Jesus is asked by his friends, Kashana is over it, asked by his friends to come through because their homie's dead. Like Lazarus is dead, and that's Jesus's homie. And Lazarus's sisters, also Jesus's homegirls, are like, yo, my dude, how you coming to the house late? Long
We
arm
were
them just to
calling for
swing down,
you.
bring nothing. We were calling for you. You didn't come on time. Now Lazarus is dead, body high and funky, because you only got 3 days to get here. Now it's the fourth day. Here you come. My brother's dead. I'm upset. These sisters is grieving in Jesus's face,
And
big
they in
time,
his
right?
face. Okay.
Jesus can, as some of us believe, do just about anything at this point. And I love what Jesus does. What he does is he takes a moment to himself to weep for the loss of his friend.
Ooh.
And because I believe Jesus to be Son of God, Son of Man, and God and man, Jesus knows already what Jesus is about to do in 3 minutes. But still
But
is
still.
like, wow, Lazarus is for real dead. That's sad. I am sad that Lazarus is not here to greet me with y'all, and that his loss got y'all out here in my face like this. And
Yep.
that I don't have my friend to, like, I'm sad.
Right.
And then raises Lazarus from the dead. Funky and everything. So what I love about that as a leadership example is the pause
The pause.
and the acceptance of feeling. Not and it's recorded, so I've got to imagine someone saw it, someone witnessed it. The Bible, scriptures, the gospel is not Jesus's journal entries.
No.
Someone witnessed this and told the
And
story
told the
that, I've
story.
seen it myself. Jesus was, first of all, Martha was wilding,
Okay.
first of all. Then Lazarus, we all smelt it. It was funky in there. That
They were
tomb,
like, oh
4 days,
no, he's
too
going in
long.
there. What you mean he going in
He's
there?
going counterculture. Should have been here on day 3. Then Jesus cried. Jesus wept.
He wept. First of all, can I just tell you, I got asked that question when I was online. I there was a there was a moment where I got asked my favorite scripture, and I was so exhausted, my 18-year-old self, that literally the scripture of the day that day was mine to carry. And I literally said out loud, Jesus wept.
Because it's true. Jesus
And
did.
to this day, that is, in fact, my favorite scripture. 2
Jesus wept
words,
out of grief.
period. That's it. The humanity of all of that.
The one time Jesus is recorded as weeping is out of grief, not of the state of the world, not of the betrayal of one of his friends. Just, my friend died, man.
My friend died, man.
So I mean, that let that, if that speaks to you, if that resonates with you, like,
Whether it's a
to
good
the highest
story or a
level of
deep belief.
servant leadership, take
Correct.
a break
Take a break.
and connect with your own feelings.
That's
It
it.
doesn't make you a less than leader. It doesn't make you incapable of showing up for other people. Letting someone witness you be a human and still work through it anyway can be an even more impactful lesson than sending someone to, an online self-paced training in how to talk to grieving people. Like, let someone see
Absolutely.
you do it.
Let
Yes,
somebody
get the
actually see
training,
you do it.
and let someone see you do it.
Come on, be trauma informed and also let somebody see you do it.
Hmm.
And listen, if you're listening right now and you're grieving right now, you are not broken. You are not broken. You are human. So we want to invite you to let yourself feel and lead at the same time. Sometimes it's just as simple as saying, today was not a good day. We're going to reverse Ice Cube it. Okay? Today was not a good day. There is no perfect way through it.
Right, right. And so, let's flip this lens. What do we do when someone on our team is grieving?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. And mind you, I just hope that folks have been going for their walk. If you're feeling tension in your body right now because you've been holding on to some stuff, I'm inviting you to move them shoulders. I'm inviting you to take 4 breaths in and hold for 4 and release for 4. That's just my shortcut to box breathing. We have expanded your definition of what grief is and brought to your awareness the parts of grief that have been on the inside that we are inviting you to let out, right? So, first of all, believe them. Do not minimize their pain. And y'all, this toxic positivity kills me. Do not say things like, at least they lived a long life, or time heals. Just say, I am so sorry and I am here for you.
Yeah, let them lead the conversation. Avoid the fix it functionality of management. Offer
Hmm.
flexibility, some time off, remote work, even a lighter load. Check in after the funeral if arrangements like that would be made, or
Yep.
even ask them, like, is there any way you'd like us to show up?
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. And it's the
Is there
after the
any
funeral
specific
stuff.
way?
Hmm.
Yeah.
When somebody loses a job or their partner loses a job, check in. Yes, if you have it in your budget, in your work budget, find the money. Send those people dinner for a week, okay? Because every penny is going to count. They're going to need to stretch it at the Costco, potentially, okay? So many of us are a paycheck or two away of going, what in the hell are y'all? All right? Grief doesn't end when the casseroles stop coming,
Mm,
okay? Hello? Because I had somebody send me a just thinking of you text 6 months after my stepdad passed. And baby, it took me a long time to cry. I bawled that day. Because most
mm.
people, I told you, even from the beginning, people were like, oh, so sorry to hear that. How's your mom? You know? So I was still raw. I was in the
You
thick
were also
of
unsupported. I think that
correct.
was the first time someone was kind of um, making clear, you're on my mind. I'm thinking of you.
Ooh, those small gestures mean everything.
And managers, listen up. If you want a resilient team, create a culture that makes space for grief.
Yep.
That might mean offering mental health days, encouraging the use of EAP resources if you have them, allowing for different forms of loss, not just death,
Mm.
naming grief in team meetings when appropriate,
Ooh.
right? Um, there are certain things I encourage folks to do who have manageable size teams. And by manageable, I always talk with someone what feels like a manageable size team. Some folks are failing at management because they're managing too many people,
That's
doing too
right.
many things.
That's
They're
right.
they're outsized.
That's right.
Um, but let's say for me, I know I can manage well a team of no more than about a dozen people directly. I should
Hmm.
never have more than a dozen direct reports, and they all need to be doing similar job duties. I can't be having, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're not doing the COO stuff where you got the finance vertical and the IT vertical and the ops
No, no,
vertical and
no.
the
I
HR
don't understand
vertical.
what you're doing. You're telling me what you're doing, and I'm just like, are you doing your job? Because I don't know. So
You gotta know how. You gotta know who you are in the world.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. I
Uh,
don't know.
no one has told me to fire you, and therefore I will not. So
I know there's a lot of managers who operate just like that. And I love it. They're like, whoa.
mm, They'd be like, the website crashed last night. That's crazy. Who
That's
manages a website? Like, Maria, the whole web team is on your team. For real? Oh, somebody needs to be fired. It is not me. Who are we firing tomorrow? Whole website crashed the day before tickets to our biggest production went live. That's crazy. Who was on top of
who's on
that?
top of that.
So, but if you have a manageable size team, if I had my team of 12, right?
Yeah.
I do try to keep, it's easy to keep a calendar of birthdays, and not everybody's into celebrating their birthdays, but I
Okay.
like to just be aware. Um, but also, death and loss days.
Yeah. I keep that.
Um, I just keep a
I keep
little,
that.
and it doesn't have to be anything big. It's not like shouted out in a team meeting. It's just, hey Kashana, let me talk to you real quick. It's not a work related conversation, so I can take 5 minutes if you got it. Sure, sure. What's up? Just wanted to say that if you want to take an extended lunch or anything you want to do today, I'm aware. I'm observing that about 2 years ago we lost your beloved husband Scott, and so just glad to see you today. Want to know how you're holding up. Want to let you know that I'm just thinking about you and thinking about that loss and thinking about
Baby.
Scott. And if anything we can do today or anytime this week, just let us know.
Ooh. Oh, Maria, that's so good.
If they respond with ingratitude, that is okay.
Also okay.
Maybe the jig is up. They hated Scott for 20 years and it's just too much. We don't know.
Stop.
But what you are communicating is that I see you.
Yeah.
I see you. And I saw you 2 years ago.
And I see
And I
you
know
today.
that grief doesn't go away.
That's right.
And I see you today.
That's right.
And I
Ooh.
myself had my own connection to Scott through you. And so I understand if you need some space and I see you.
Ooh. Just saying things in
That's
the
what that
team.
communicates.
Listen, you can have a team meeting. You don't need a whole therapy circle, right? May not be
Hmm.
appropriate. It may not be your style, your personality, all the things, your team's personality. But saying, hey, team, I know this week has been heavy. Let's just take care of ourselves and each other. That alone can soften the room.
Right, right. And for the love of all that is Beyonce, we don't need to measure productivity in tragedy. We don't. If someone loses a loved one and comes back after 3 days and you expect 100% output, reevaluate your own humanity and perhaps your policies.
Ooh, Maria. D-
Just take a look. It's in the book.
Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow.
I'm just saying. Say it loud. Nobody's best self shows up when their heart is shattered. I want y'all to know, last couple of months for me, I've been like hanging on the edge with my fingernails. Look, my fingernails didn't even get done this time. Oh my God, my fingernails. Like Maria, like there have been weeks that I'm like, did I get a wax? And just to know me, y'all, is to know that I take my self-maintenance very seriously. Notice I didn't say self-care, because that's different for me. I
Yeah,
take my
yeah.
self-maintenance very seriously. And
An inspiration you are,
oh, thank
actually.
you. Oh, thank you. And I'm leaning into a season where I am allowing myself to experience the support that my friends have been so gracious to offer. And I am very fortunate to have a large enough circle of friends that the friends who held me up in my 30s when I was in that mode of crisis and divorce and stuff, they ain't got to hold it this time. And it occurred to me also that I'm grieving. We probably should write about this. I'm grieving the loss of the friendships and the tight circle I had when I lived in New
Mm,
York, and the fact that when I had others who moved places, I believe that I made an effort to talk to them, see them, text them, send cards, etc. And I noticed I've stopped sending the cards. Ain't no cards coming to my house. I finally said out loud what was happening to me. Ain't no check-ins happening. Not none.
mm,
That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. From the people I would have air quotes expected. There were
mm-hmm.
people who I was super close to during the pandemic. I don't even speak to right now. They getting life wins that I'm finding out on social media.
Wow.
I'm grieving that, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so it is showing up in the way that I'm maintaining myself. So I had to go. I had one of my besties, Rochelle. She said, sister said, "Girl, would you?" She came to my house and she was like, "Why are you not dressed?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna be on camera today." She was like, "So?" She was like, "You look a mess. Go upstairs." I showered. Okay, I shower every day, twice a day, y'all. But I had on some like frumpy sweatshirt and shorts, whatever. I was gonna be at my computer. She was like, "I do not care if I came over just like I did and said, 'Let's go to lunch.' I had to wait for you 30 minutes to put clothes on." She was like, "You cannot feel better about yourself looking crazy like that." You know what? She
Shout
not
out to
wrong.
Rochelle connecting the dots because she would
You
have to
know,
wait.
she not wrong. She would have to wait. She did have to wait. But one day we got to leave with grace because one day it'll be you needing that grace. It'll be you.
Count on it. It's the
Listen,
same thing disability justice activists say all the time. Everybody's
yes,
going to be disabled.
at
Figure it
some
out
point. So
at some point.
we want you to remember that grief is not a detour, right? It's a part of life, a part of leadership, a part of makes us whole. And if you've led through loss or you're in the middle of it, we just want you to know we see you and we are you.
Mm. And grief doesn't disqualify you from being a great leader.
Yeah.
It deepens your
Yeah.
empathy, your presence, and your capacity to hold space. Let it shape you, not silence you.
Mm. And whether you are dealing with and grieving the death of a loved one, a chapter of your life closing, a life transition, even the joy slash grief, the yay boo of your baby going off to college. Know
Mm.
this: you don't have to compartmentalize your pain to do good work. You can be in process and in power.
Ooh,
Come on.
ooh, let me make a note.
First of all,
That's a
yes,
merch drop for
yes, it's a
me.
merch
I need
drop.
something that says in process and in power. This was good, Kashada.
Oh
I
yeah.
thank you for making this topic a
Well, we have
topic
to
that
make
we can
space for it
tackle.
because you're the expert in the house anyway. So I know we went a little bit longer than we normally do, folks, but we've been getting some feedback that folks wanted us to dig in a little bit deeper. So as we wrap up our season, we will, but next season y'all gonna have to join us on our Substack, okay, and get behind the paywall to get the real deal Holyfield because we do actually record for a lot longer than y'all get, okay? Y'all want the juicy bits, okay,
Right. You
the
love a
gravy.
clip. Come get the whole content.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, next week we're talking about a different leadership tension. What happens, and this is also something that is very juicy for me. What happens when you are a visionary with no plan? We know some of y'all are allergic to structure, and we are here to help.
We're here to help. We're here to help. Until then, we want you to take care of your hearts, take care of your teams, and take care of yourself. We know that leadership is human work, and grieving does not make you weak, my friends. It makes you real.
Oh, we love y'all. Thanks for sitting in this sacred space with us. Miss us.